It always begins at 11:59 p.m. That fragile second before tomorrow exists. That breathless space between what was and what will never be again. Tonight, Lena Cho stands inside that second. The city is still. Neon lights freeze mid-blink. Cars hang motionless above the wet asphalt, suspended like figures in a dream. Only the pocket watch in her hand moves, its second hand spinning backward. Then a whisper curls through the frozen air. She cannot tell if it comes from outside or from somewhere deep within. It says, "You asked for this." Hours earlier, the world had been painfully ordinary. In a small apartment cluttered with unpaid bills and half-finished paintings, Lena sat hunched over her easel, her fingers trembling from too much coffee and too little sleep. Another rejection email flashed on her phone. Her landlord's message followed, a reminder that rent was due tomorrow. Outside, the city carried on, unaware of her quiet collapse. Buses hissed through puddles, reflecting endless advertisements for beauty and success. The rain streaked down her window like time itself, trying to escape. On the desk beside her lay an old silver pocket watch, an heirloom that had stopped ticking the day her parents died. Its minute hand was frozen forever at midnight. That evening, she wandered the streets in search of air and distraction, clutching the broken watch. The rain had turned the alleys into mirrors, reflecting the glow of the city's sleepless eyes. In one of those reflections, she noticed a faint light from an old sign that read, "Damien's Repairs, time fixed, fates restored." Curious, she stepped inside. The shop smelled of iron and incense. Hundreds of clocks lined the walls, each ticking at its own rhythm. Behind the counter stood a tall man in a dark coat. His face was calm, timeless, and oddly familiar, as though she had seen him before in dreams or in old portraits. He examined her watch and said that midnight watches rarely break on their own. They stop only when time itself has something to say. Lena told him that it had stopped when her parents died. He nodded, saying softly that everything stops for love or loss. When she asked if it could be fixed, the man smiled in a way that felt both kind and dangerous. "Everything can be fixed," he told her, "if you can pay the price." Lena laughed nervously and said she had no money. He replied that money was the cheapest thing humans ever invented. He dealt in something rarer. Then he slid a parchment across the counter, the ink glowing faintly gold. He promised her success, recognition, and time enough to do everything she dreamed of. All he asked was one midnight each year. She hesitated, but desperation dulls reason. She signed. As her pen lifted, the golden ink flared once and vanished. And with that, the man smiled. Her time had begun again. In the months that followed, Lena's paintings sold faster than she could finish them. Her name filled galleries and online reviews. Cameras flashed at her first solo exhibition. Among the crowd was a quiet filmmaker named Kai. He approached her with the shy confidence of someone who had spent a lifetime behind the camera. He said her art felt alive, like every color had a heartbeat. They began spending their days together, filming, painting, laughing, existing in a way that felt suspended from reality. They cooked instant noodles on the floor. They shared umbrellas through storms. They dreamed under canvases hung to dry. And in every scene, the pocket watch sat nearby, ticking once for every moment they stole from fate. Then came New Year's Eve. The sky burned with fireworks. The city shouted its countdown. Lena stood on the rooftop with Kai, the watch glinting in her hand. When the final second struck, she closed her eyes and wished that time would never run out. Midnight arrived. The fireworks froze midair. Sound drained from the world. The champagne glass slipped from her hand and shattered in silence. When she turned, Kai was gone. Only the whisper of the deal remained. The man from the clock shop stood where Kai had been, smiling faintly beneath the glow of frozen light. He reminded her that payment had been collected. 1 midnight, as promised. Her scream carried through the motionless air, unheard by anyone. Days blurred into weeks. Police reports, unanswered calls, sleepless nights. Lena filled her studio with paintings of Kai's face, dozens of portraits that looked as though they were waiting to breathe. Friends told her to move on. She couldn't. Every canvas felt like a pulse, a whisper, a plea. Then one night, as thunder rolled across the city, she felt a change in the air. The light flickered. The man appeared again, standing by her window as though he'd been there all along. He told her that time wasn't a circle, it was a ledger. Every wish cost something. She begged to see Kai again, to undo the trade, to reverse the clock. He said that nothing could be unspent, but bargains could always be extended. He offered her a second contract. If she surrendered another midnight, he would let her see Kai for 1 hour. Her hand shook, but her heart didn't. She signed again. That night the world bent around her. She found herself standing in the rain by the river where Kai used to film her. And there he was, alive, smiling faintly, his camera slung over his shoulder. He looked at her as though seeing through her, half there, half gone. She ran to him, holding his face, crying that she could fix this. He only told her she looked tired. He said she shouldn't paint ghosts. He said she should paint something alive. His touch was warm, but fading. He told her that time couldn't be fixed, only broken with. Then the clock struck, and he disappeared again. After that night, Lena stopped attending exhibitions. Her fame slowly dissolved. People forgot her name, the way they forget dreams upon waking. She lived quietly among her unfinished canvases, each one an echo of love slipping away. Eventually, the man returned once more. She asked how many midnights she had left. He said only 1. She asked what would happen if she gave it 2. He told her that when the final clock struck 12, she would vanish. But Kai would live again, free of the curse, free of memory. She smiled faintly and said that was fair. The man watched her for a long time. Then he told her that humans never learn to let go, and that was what made them beautiful and doomed. As the storm gathered over the skyline, Lena painted one last piece. It showed Kai standing under a golden sky, smiling at something unseen. The watch ticked faster and faster beside her. When the clock read 11:59, she placed her hand on the painting. The colors began to move, swirling around her fingers like light through water. She whispered that if love was the price, then she would pay it in full. Lightning flared. The clock stopped.
Her body dissolved into brightness, leaving only the painting behind. Morning broke. Kai woke with tears on his face, though he didn't know why. He went to his studio and found a new painting waiting on his easel, a woman he didn't recognize, smiling softly as if she knew him better than he knew himself. At the bottom, faint initials glowed. L.C. Outside, the city carried on as usual. Somewhere down a forgotten street, the sign of an old watch shop flickered to life again. Inside, the man closed a small ledger and placed Lena's watch on the counter. For the first time in ages, it ticked forward instead of back. And with a voice too soft for anyone to hear, he whispered that she had broken the loop. For once, time had lost to love. Some people spend an entire lifetime searching for forever. Others find it for just 1 hour and still call it enough. The deal we made at midnight.